I'm an Associate Research Fellow at STPI. Today's topic is Unlocking Pakistan's Blue Economy, Harnessing Maritime Potential for Sustainable Growth. Uh, our participants for today mostly include very senior specialists in the subject, both from government, diplomatic community, maritime professionals, environmentalists, academics, private sector leaders, and the media. So blue economy, as I was fortunate that I was given a chance by STPI to write a report on blue economy a couple of years back with Bank of Punjab. So it is just not a sector. I think it is a whole economy in its own and has huge potential. Pakistan has a coastline nearing 1100 kilometers and huge export and otherwise economic potential there, including tourism sector, renewable energy, and there can be a lot of supply and demand things that can be discussed in this regard. Um Although my own bias, as I was discussing with Nadir Saab as well, is more towards the development of port cities than ports themselves. But of course, Dr. Hassan Daud, my senior, might disagree with this, but I still have a bias there. So the aim for the today's session is to bring all these expertise together to contribute towards a more sustainable development in the whole of the coastal belt of Pakistan. With this, I will now request Dr. Abid Qayyum Suleri, Executive Director of STPI, to give his opening remarks.
Well, thank you, Ahad. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers. On behalf of STPI, let me take this opportunity not only to welcome you all, but also congratulate in advance for Pakistan's Independence Day and celebration for the recent triumph in the war. As you know that due to preparation for tomorrow's Independence Day celebration, local holiday was declared in Twin Cities, and that actually led us to convert this in-person seminar to an online discussion mode. But I'm thankful to all the worthy panelists who have joined us online, and of course for both of you who took time to join us in person. Today's topic is about unlocking Pakistan's blue economy, harnessing maritime potential for sustainable growth. We have been talking of blue economy in this country for quite a long time now. During the years of COVID, even we had dedicated 1 year as a blue economy year, but again, due to pandemic, we couldn't do much on it. We do have right infrastructure in place, and when I say right infrastructure in place, I'm referring not only to CPEC's flagship project Gwadar Port, but also Port Qasim and Karachi Port and mangroves where we have carbon credits, Pakistan's first carbon credit, and all the maritime resources which are untapped, but of course they are very much there. And how those untapped resources can actually be utilized to achieve sustainable growth. That's what we'll be discussing. And while we have experts in field, we also have a civil servant who actually spent best part of his career in managing Karachi Port, and I'm referring to Mr. Nadir Mumtaz, the former chairman of Karachi Port Trust, and it is his passion for ports and for blue economy. And I must also mention here that not only he was his former chair of Pakistan Port, but his great father, he was ADC to Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and he was naval commodore. Yeah, he was a naval commodore. So he is someone who actually grew near ocean and in all the marine life, and I think that's what led him to start his own think tank, which is Blue Economy Services uh, Private Limited. Congratulations, Nadir. I hope that your vast experience will help us explore some of the unexplored dimension of this subject. I also came to know that you have got this Blue Economy Services trademark from IPO. I think it's extremely important nowadays to have intellectual property rights for some service. And STPI and Blue Economy Services, they are jointly organizing today's discussion, and we are looking forward to Nadir's scene-setting presentation, which will be followed by the distinguished remarks by our keynote discussants. So over to you, Ahad.
Thank you, sir. I think you're very right in highlighting that in addition to the port infrastructure that is already in place, the environmental sustainability potential of blue economy is also there. Without further ado, I'll go over to Mr. Nadir Mumtaz for the scene setting presentation.
Assalamu alaikum, distinguished speakers and audience. First of all, I would like to place on record my appreciation to Dr. Abid Qayyum Suleri, Executive Director, Sustainable Development Institute of Pakistan, for providing us this national and international platform for advancing the cause of blue economy. I hope the screen is visible to all of you. Next. When I started on my crusade, for the revival, I say revival because Karachi used to be the maritime hub, the tourism hub, and the aviation hub of the region. And since I spent my childhood there, and I have a strong association and sentimental association with the sea, the ports, and the navy. So I've taken on this crusade, and I thought it would be better to acquire the intellectual property rights of the trademark, and I acquired the trademark Blue Economy from the International Intellectual Property Organization, IPO. Next, please. Yeah. Now the term blue economy has come into play in the last about a decade or so. Up till the year 2013, the ships were not mega ships. So in 2013, one of the container lines built a container ship which contained, I think, 13,000 containers. So mega shipping came into being. The term blue economy was formalized by the UN, adopted in the UN documents in the year 2019 in Kenya. So what is blue economy? What does it connotate? It's actually an overlapping and huge arena. It constitutes of economy, it constitutes commerce, it's now digital as well, and it includes finance, and it includes trade, and it's e-commerce and freight. So, but worldwide, it's still a emerging discipline, and it's still being understood, and it's now very much linked with multimodal logistics. Our country is a littoral nation. Its coastline is around 1046 kilometers, and we have not realized the potential of our blue and maritime economy. People of my age bracket, I've seen Karachi, and those who have seen, they would know how busy Karachi airport was. All the major airlines used to come into Karachi, and now Dubai has surpassed us, and now the major airline that has become the aviation hub. And I used to remember in Elphinstone Street, there used to be so many tourists and foreigners, but now that has also gone from us. So we have to get back and revive Karachi as the regional hub of trade. Next page. So when we usually the term amount which is bandied around and mentioned is about 100 billion US dollars, which is the approximate size of the blue economy of Pakistan, in which should be realized. I've mentioned here New York Twin Towers. The reason I'm mentioning is that the Port of New York and Port of New Jersey, that owns the area, the land on which New York Twin Towers has been built, which everyone must be familiar with. So the estate of both the major seaports in Karachi, Port Qasim and Karachi Port, Karachi Port has around 35 square kilometers of prime land onshore and around 576 square kilometers offshore. And Port Qasim has around, say, 11,000 acres around the steel mill. So they have a huge estate, and there's a reason. Worldwide, all ports have a huge backup area. So the city is not because of the port. The city is actually because of the port. So when the port works better, efficiently, the city also develops. But unfortunately, Karachi has gone in the reverse direction. Freight. Now we spend around $4.5 billion on freight. That's because our, unfortunately, national flag carrier, PNSC, in the up till 1980s, it had 66 ships registered, owned by it. Now it has around 13 ships, and some of those are more than 15 years old, and they are not going to be seaworthy, or the amount spent on their seaworthiness is too much. Remittances, now I'm just putting the price tags to get to near $100 billion. Remittances, Filipino seafarers, their remittances, annual remittances are around $7 billion, and ours are, I think, a few million. Food security, if you construct food silos, grain silos at the ports, so that will maintain and prevent volatility in grain and agriculture product prices. Energy security, we are an energy deficient country, and we import 60% crude and around 45% of refined petroleum products, and now LNG also. So if we develop and increase our oil infrastructure, that can greatly control the amount we spend on import of energy. And we have to now go and explore offshore exploration. We have done about 14 wells offshore, and we have to do more, and we have to keep on drilling. As Trump said, drill, baby, drill. Commercial shipyard. Unfortunately, we have a shipyard which is not working on commercial lines, and our ships, our tugs, nearly all of them, they have to go to other ports, other countries for repair even. You would be surprised that around 3,600 ships come annually at both the major seaports, and none of them take even a liter of fuel or diesel from our ports. Even their fueling is in other ports. So we are just benefiting the regional ports. Central Asian republics. Now this is very crucial because the Central Asian republics are landlocked, and they are very keen and they are pursuing at the end, because if they send their products through the ports of Karachi, it will cost them one third of what they are currently incurring on freight and transportation charges, plus the distance will be reduced. This is all being done, but this is all being done in compartmentalized. So there has to be a holistic and integrated approach to developing the blue economy. Submarine internet cable, there are 5 submarine internet cables, and nearly the entire internet traffic is flowing in through these cables, which are laid on the ocean floor. And in all, there are about 1.7 million kilometers of submarine cables worldwide. What we should do strategically, or to increase our digital exports, we should encourage more cables, increase the bandwidth, broadband of internet, so our digital exports increase, and we can provide a internet corridor to the Central Asian republics and China, because the internet subsea or submarine cables under the ocean, they are owned mostly by the West. So on the eastern side, they are denying China access to those cables. So it can be a CPEC digital corridor which we can develop very conveniently. Unfortunately, the entire sewage, raw untreated sewage, industrial effluent of the city, the coastal, the commercial, cosmopolitan city of Karachi is flowing untreated into the sea, polluting the sea, and the hulls of the ships are corroding, and the sea, the marine life is being affected, and the fishing exports are being expected. Seafood exports are stagnant at $400 million since several years, and it can easily jump twice, thrice that figure. Karachi, as just Mr. Aad and Mr. Ali, we were discussing, you have to buy, even the affluent and the richest people in Karachi who own palatial houses, they have to buy water in tankers, which comes from where no one knows. In the pipes, hardly any water comes. Saudi Arabia has built 28 desalination plants. And so we don't go into who can afford what. And even in Gwadar, there is no desalination plant for the community. The entire coastline doesn't have any desalination plant. Next, please. The next heading is livelihood, business opportunities, immigration going out of the country. Our population is around 230 million, and females would be around half of this population. If you go and ascertain the number of eligible females who can work, they are in that age bracket. So in the entire maritime commercial sector, which is a huge sector, you perhaps might not find more than 2 dozen women, and perhaps not in executive positions. Seafood export is stagnant. National flag carrier fleet is dwindling, and unfortunately, the national flag carrier doesn't have a container ship. It doesn't even own any container. Around 3 million, 30 lakh containers are loaded, unloaded at the ports of Pakistan, and none of them are loaded to any ship which is owned by any Pakistani or the national flag carrier, and no one here owns even a container. Nigeria, I've given the example of Nigeria. Nigeria is spending around $10 billion on freight and transportation. That money is flowing out. Similarly, freight of $4.5 billion is flowing out, as I just mentioned, and we are a country with a negative external deficit. So we need forex very dearly. We should start developing our real estate along the coastline in a proper manner instead of going for uneducated reclamation. You know of Palm Jumeirah, then you know the Pearl city of Qatar. They have reclaimed and built islands in the sea. So that can be done for us in a very sustainable, environmental friendly manner. Ferry cruise, the policy was approved by the federal cabinet a few years ago. Unfortunately, no cruise of ferry cruise has started so far. I'm hearing that it's going to start soon. Let's hope. Till 1982, I used to go to the port and see of Hajis. Till 1982, these Hajis would go for Hajj, and now there's another opening perhaps of Zaireen who will go to Iraq for ziyarat and religious tourism. So that has to be explored, but it has to be done in a very comprehensive manner. You should do the feasibility, the concern should do the feasibility studies to see whether what the expenditure is. Outsourcing, we also have to see when we outsource our maritime activities, like dredging is proposed to be outsourced. So the economic sovereignty of the state should not be outsourced, and the cost of doing business should not be increased. Um, so now, I have just highlighted the price tags, and you can, I think, manage it. If we actually increase our efficiency, we would be able to, by saving all this amount which we are spending, so we will be able to generate sufficient revenues. If you go on YouTube, you will find an old video. Uh, there's a rusting ship which is called the, I think, Queen of Bawalpur. And 100 years ago, the inland waterways and the rivers of Pakistan, they used to have uh, inland navigation for passengers and cargo. So if you develop our waterways, you can get external financing for that, and that external financing will probably be provided by international development agencies and banks. They are quite willing to do that, but you have to start. They will do it because of the carbon emissions. So the carbon emissions can be eliminated, and the most friendly environmentally form of transportation is by rivers, then by rail, and the most environmental degradation is caused by road transportation. And by railways from the ports, only 5% of the cargo and containers are picked up on the railway. So 95% of our cargo and containers are going up country through the trucks. And it should be the other way around. The railway should be taking up the load. When you look at this map, you can see the economic, geo-economic, geostrategic significance of Pakistan. You can link up to the Central Asian republics. You can provide a digital corridor for internet, and there's a lot which can be done. So I'll just finish right here. And if anyone has any question later on, we can elaborate, as there are a long list of distinguished speakers who have to share their views.
Thank you very much, Nadir Saab. I think it was very enlightening, especially the focus on areas that I think usual literature does not take into account, like, for example, the balance of payment aspect, the real estate aspect, and then the inland waterways. Especially, this is something that is really missing in our literature. So thank you very much for your scene setting presentation. So with this background, I'd like to now go towards our distinguished panelists. I will start off with Dr. Syed Kaleem Imam Saab, who is the former IG Police and former Secretary Narcotics Control, and he has also been the UN Police Commissioner. In addition to your comments, sir, I would especially like you to focus on the aspect of human and drug trafficking relevant to the blue economy and maritime domain, and also because security is one of the major issues which is halting investment as well as other economic prospects there. So I would really appreciate if you can shed light on the security domain as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aad. Thank you very much. And thank you, SDPI, for hosting this program. Nader Saab, congratulations. We have been seeing you working over the years, and we know how you blend professionalism with the integrity. You have contributed immensely in the domains of tax, and we have seen you as a police commissioner, Chief Commissioner Islamabad, and Chairman KPT. So congratulations on the trademark, on the intellectual property rights, and my prayers and best wishes with you. Distinguished guest and the maritime professionals that are here today, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. So I start by saying that nation's economic journey is only as safe as the water it sails. I learned this word, innocent passage, as I was studying in NDU, and I found it very interesting. So the Pakistan maritime domain is our economic lifeline. And as has been said, 95% of our trade by volume flows through the Arabian Sea. And Karachi, Port Qasim, Gwadar are not just ports. They are the heartbeat of our economy, keeping the tide of commerce alive. How much? The statistics just shown by Nader actually concerns us. I hope we have a better figures, and we are utilizing this blue economy and the sea around us more usefully. But where legal trade flows, as Ahad said, so do illegal currents. And maritime drug trafficking is one such undercurrent. A silent storm threatening to capsize our blue economy before it reaches the full sail. As a Federal Secretary Narcotics Control, we found out that land routes have become pretty difficult. And now most of the trafficking, even human trafficking and smuggling, is being done through sea. And we see the narcotics and even arms trafficking mostly moving through sea now. So no country is immune to the harms caused by the drug trafficking. This is what UNODC says. And for Pakistan, moored at the junction of major trade and smuggling routes, these are not just distant waves. They break right our shore. So to navigate our course, we must first chart the global waters. And four I would like to mention. Over 90% of world heroin shipments are carried by the sea. The Golden Triangle has shifted from opium to industrial scale methamphetamines, flooding markets from Japan to Australia. Number three, the Latin American Caribbean corridor sends cocaine in a containerized fruit, timber, coffee bound for Europe and North America. And Africa is fast becoming both a transshipment hub and a destination hub. As for the methodology is concerned, we see the traffickers are using concealed compartment in the fishing boats, mother ships handing over cargo mid-sea. We also see containers with false walls and offshore GPS drop points. The sea, once it casts its spell, holds one, it's never forever, as I quote from Jack's Kausha. Sadly, traffickers have learned to weave their own dangerous nets in these waters, and they're making a flourishing business all around. Our coastline sits in the mouth of a dangerous tunnel, and Afghanistan produces 80% of the world opium. The southern route moves heroin from Afghanistan through Balochistan and Sindh to the Arabian Sea, and then onwards to Gulf, Africa, and Europe. We have seen some recent seizures. We have seen Pakistan Navy, ANF, and the local police and Coast Guard doing a good job. We saw Navy seizing 5.2 tons of hashish in the Arabian Sea. And then in the joint operations, as I learned from the ANF, Navy partnership intercepted heroin worth US $250 million. The tactics, again, drugs hidden in a legitimate cargo, rice, textiles, etc., transferred at sea to the small fishing vessels, blending into local traffic, mixing drug consignments to complicate detection. So what Nader Sahab just said, the impact on blue economy. So all this is not only a security issue anymore. It's an economic headwind, one would say. And again, the four thrust that I would like to emphasize over here, it is damaging Pakistan maritime reputation. Number two, it raises cargo insurance cost. Three, slow port clearance times. You become more suspicious and you carry more scrutiny. Discourages investment in ports, fisheries, shipping, tourism, and offshore energy. Well, we have lessons from around the world, and we can see that intelligence-led policing, like the one being done in UK and Australia, have been able to identify and stop high-value shipping before the sail. We also see digital port surveillance, where Singapore scans 100% of high-risk containers using analytics, scanners, and AI profiling. Then we also see the regional cooperation in Indian Ocean. The rim countries share live vessel tracking. For Pakistan, joint maritime forces, integrated forensic labs at the ports, and full digitalization of cargo intelligence system is required. I acknowledge Nader Mumtaz, the former chairman KPT once, and who I vividly remember modernized the ports, strengthened the security, and fostered the regional ties. His work built a dock from which we now launch a safer and more competitive maritime sector. I wish he could have stayed there more and bring tumultuous changes. A visionary man who would have actually turned around things in the KPT port. Way forward, I would again suggest a couple of points. Just taking one more minute. So our action chart should include, we should invest in technology, container scanners, AIS tracking, drones, K9 units. We should strengthen laws, autonomy for maritime enforcement, fast-track prosecutions, empower coastal communities. This is so important, awareness campaigns, alternative livelihoods, and deepen regional cooperation to secure that seas are shared seas. I would conclude by saying that by securing seas, we don't just intercept contraband, we anchor trust, attract investment, and let sails of our blue economy catch the winds of prosperity. So Nader, all the best, and thank you very much for giving me some time to share my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think your points about maritime goodwill, insurance cost, the overall operating cost being affected by the security and trafficking regime, I think they are very well taken. I will now move on to Vice Admiral retired Ahmed Saeed Saab, who is the president of National Institute of Maritime Affairs. Sir, again, I think very much considering the background that Kaleem Saab has given, and because I know you have spent many years on the port, so how do we balance economy and security? So in addition to your comments that you will like to give, I would really like you to shed some light on that. Thank you, sir. Sir, you're on mute, sir.
Thank you very much, Art. Assalamu alaikum and very good evening to everybody. I think before me, already Mr. Nader has already alluded to a lot of points, and I think on the security we have got a good insight from Dr. Kaleem as well. So two things I think you have given it to me. Number one was the tariff impacts on imports, exports in the context of blue economy. Excuse me. The second, you have already told me about the security and maritime economy. How do they gel together? So first we come to the security pattern. As already alluded to, about 80 to 90% of the sea trade is at sea. So having secure sea lanes of communication is imperative. That means we need to have a mechanism at sea where each country is able to secure its sea trade lanes. As for Pakistan, we have about 60% of our seaborne trade is towards the west and 40% is to the east. So wherever our sea lanes are going, our security mechanism has to be, in a way, able to tackle these issues. So as the sea is a common heritage of mankind, so is the security as well. That means not a single country can achieve these goals. They can have this mechanism within their own responsible areas, but as far as the high seas are concerned, there you need to have a collaborative mechanism. That is the reason Pakistan Navy went into the CMF, and we went into collaborative mechanisms of establishing anti-piracy and counter-terrorism organization, that is CTF 150 and 151. So this is in this context that our sea trade remains safe. So under the UN Convention, Law of the Sea, UN Clause 1982, all the nations, they have been mandated to keep their own areas safe for the sea trade. That is what Dr. Kaleem was referring to, the innocent passage. So innocent passage in this at sea is the maritime nations have been given the responsibility to make their passage safe in our area. So this is a difference what is on land and what is at sea. So coming back towards, but there's one more thing which I think Dr. Kaleem Imam also alluded to, that is the in security we divide the our threats into two domains, that is conventional and non-conventional. So all those threats which are security, whereby our main forces, regular forces, they come into play, that is conventional, and all those which are during the peacetime we are facing, which is smuggling in terms of narcotics, human smuggling, drugs, illegal fishing, and there are a lot more. I think one was also mentioned by Dr. Nader, and that is our underwater cables. So now the underwater cables are becoming a strategic asset of a country because these are the highways of communication. Around 95% to 99% of the entire global connectivity is running on these cables. So of late, we have seen busting of these cables close to Red Sea also. So for that, we will have to develop our capacity to safeguard these very important highways. Now coming towards the ports. So ports are to be seen in terms of a global supply chain, and port is one interface which we can take as a switch knob, which switches between land and sea for the trade. So that's the reason the efficiency of the port is mandatory, that it has to augment the speed of already the global supply chain. So if we are not working in tandem with our global supply chain, and it is retarding the overall supply chains, so that is where our trade will get affected, and that is where, if the trade gets affected, that is where our tariffs will also be getting affected. So once we come to the Indian Ocean, about 36 countries are there. 35% of our population, global population in this area, 40% of coastlines, and over 100,000 ships they transit per year. So this is the significance, and 5 major global choke points are in this area. So we just heard about the container shipping. So the container shipping at the moment around 35% by value and 60% by volume is being taken by the container ships. So that is now becoming more and more important that we should have our own container ships. It was mentioned by the Nadsab also, but at the same time, under the World Bank, now we have CPPI index in which the container performance index they have calculated globally, and our ports have to perform in accordance. So most of the South Asian countries' ports are coming in this, like the Salalah is number 2 in our area. So Karachi, I believe it is somewhere in 46 or 47 number. Port Qasim comes into around 126. So it is entirely dependent upon the dwell time which is being given to the ships. So it is the net resultant which they have counted. And within that, of course, the digitization is a requirement. Of course, there is a IoTs, digital twin, these technologies, broadband connectivity, which was mentioned also. And transparency has to come into play. That means the entire process of a port operation with respect to the predictability in time has to get integrated into global supply chain. So here our ports needs to come up in terms of reducing the times by introducing more technology and giving more transparency and reducing the overall time. So that is where we can get into a situation where the tariffs can be compatible. It becomes competitive in the region first and then globally. Perhaps that is the reason a few days ago, the government has reduced to slash some of the tariffs 50%. That is a one step towards reducing our tariffs so that it becomes competitive, at least within the region. So Karachi Port Trust at the moment, as we know, operating the KICT terminal, PICT and SAPT. And similarly in the Port Qasim, we have the terminal operators. So introducing the foreign direct investment is good because it comes with the technology which we don't have, so they can bring in those technologies. At the same time, we need to have a benchmark setting at our own level as well. So that means that we should have our own terminals upgraded to that level, whereby we can set certain benchmarks for the performance of the foreign direct investment terminal operators as well. Coming towards the end, I would say that our major imperative comes out to be that we need to digitize ourselves. We need to have competitive tariffs. We need to go green. That was already defined. And we need to enhance our connectivity and reduce our dwell time. One more important thing is our connectivity of the port towards the land. That is very important. And at the moment, I think our major connectivity is through the road. It has to be shifted to the rail, which is more cheaper, more safer, and more predictable. So connectivity of these ports with the hinterland by rail is another impediment, I think, which need to be looked into. That will also enhance our trade connectivity. And so these are some of the points which I've alluded to. But as the discussions go along, I think we can debate more points on these. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think this was very helpful, especially I think differentiating the conventional and unconventional security. Then your talk about the regional collaboration, the logistic performance. So in 2022 logistic performance index, because in the latest one Pakistan is not in the listing. So in 2022 Pakistan was 136th in the world out of I think 150. So that is also one of the factors, although since 2022 we have also introduced the Pakistan single window and the port community system, which of course has improved the overall logistic performance, at least the softer part of it. Uh, and then, of course, your talk about the global value chain integration, I think that is very important, and the technology and sustainability aspects to be looked at, and also focusing on the rail side of the land transport as well. Thank you very much, sir. So going next, I will be going over to Dr. Hassan Daud Bhatt Saab. He is a senior associate professor at Bahria University. He was former project director CPEC and also the former CEO Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Board of Investment and Trade. At the moment, he is also advising China Energy. So over to you, Dr. Saab.
Thank you very much. Can you please allow me to share my presentation?
Sir, you're allowed to please share.
Thank you. So, as I said, thank you very much. And I think on just one day before our 14th August and the jubilation and what we are seeing around, I think this is a very pertinent discussion we are having. And I think this is extremely important for some of the economic challenges we are seeing today and perhaps in the past and perhaps in the future also. But if we take the right direction, I think and some of the points that have been highlighted earlier by my esteemed colleagues, senior colleagues and speakers, I think we should be able to drive ourselves in the right direction. So given in the given time that I have, I think for me, I see the world is undergoing profound changes, and from a larger global perspective, I will drag you to Gwadar and talk about how Gwadar and some of the aspects there are important for the future of blue economy of Pakistan. And I think since I deal with investment and especially with Chinese investment, I think the business models that we keep producing each day, irrespective of which organization is leading that, I think they are now disrupted, and new ideas and out of box solution are imperative to sell uh, what we want to sell, the not just the ideas but also in terms of infrastructure requirement and development that we want. I think the resilience and cost of supply chain, especially maritime trade, is being tested like never before. And the kind of friction that is coming up based on anti-globalization and protectionist approach, I think this will continue to grow. However, for Pakistan, its geography, its population, and connectivity will remain key, and that will remain our key selling point. And we should thank God each day, each night for giving us this natural endowment, which is the biggest factor around our maritime domain. And I also believe that as the land resources are depleting due to various reasons, there'll be increased effort to further exploit or use oceanic resources. And there are, while we talk of so much of opportunity around the blue economy, there would be challenges in terms of sustainability and environment degradation. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe, and I keep saying this everywhere I go, that every developing country like Pakistan has the potential to develop dramatically in phases. It won't happen overnight. It has to happen dramatically. It has to have an aggressive approach, a collective approach, pragmatic approach. And similarly, for the maritime sector, we need to work on our competitive advantage. We need to work on the priorities based on our national needs. You just can't keep saying that we have the large size coastline, because I talk to investors and I feel that as far as our natural endowment is concerned, our selling point are concerned, they are already sold when they come to Pakistan. It is beyond that, the ease of doing business, the enabling environment aspect which bothers them. But for blue economy, I think it is extremely pivotal, and unless we create a good strategic policy discourse, we will not be able to achieve some of the advantages that were highlighted and some of the ones that I will continue to highlight. And therefore, we also have to safeguard the mismanagement that that can create degradation of our water and ocean resources that we have. So, based on what I'm going to say, I think I need to set my stage for how trade and maritime sector are transforming, because they are transforming fast. And I believe that and this is based on OECD 2020 data, that by 2050, the blue economy will see major growth from coastal tourism, fisheries, aquaculture, shipping, all of them increasing not just twofold, but manyfold, and including seabed mining. And there was a recent report by World Economic Forum just recently, perhaps last week, along with World Bank, about how the seabed mining can deteriorate the overall ecosystem, not just the fishing, but overall topographic and other marine related. So we need to safeguard this while we keep working on new potentials, and this potential continue to grow. I also see, based while sitting in university and talking to youngsters, I think the impact of artificial intelligence, blockchain, satellite technology, robotic automation, I think they are going to significantly impact the maritime sector in Pakistan. And I think we should look at some of the initiatives that are happening across ASEAN, across China, and some of the other regional initiatives that are centered around maritime silk route to take advantage of, because now they are and while I was in China just last week, there was discussion around maritime silk route and making it converting into a maritime digital silk route. And this is how things are changing, and they are changing fast, despite the fact of the challenges that this sector has, from geopolitical tension to trade barriers and protectionism, fragmenting supply chain, economic disparities, and environmental pressure. So therefore, we need to look at a regional framework through which we can benefit and benefit fast. And these frameworks can actually look at how Asia is integration, because as Mr. Booley recently in his IMF session spoke about, regional maritime integration is not just an opportunity, but an economic necessity. And we realize this. And of course, some of the nations have actually worked on. So the areas that Asia and ASEAN and other countries where they have similar endowment as Pakistan has, are working on digital connectivity, green initiatives, labor and people mobility. And most importantly, they are talking about blue economic integration, which is far more important, including for the connecting of landlocked countries with ports. And I'll talk about CAREC 5 and CAREC 6 a little later. So, based on that, I think the maritime silk route, which we are part of it, and the advantages that it provides, I believe while we had worked well under the CPEC platform and the ground part and infrastructure and energy part, I think the maritime silk route did not showcased as well as it should have been, and the discussion around that did remain very, very limited. perhaps around energy and resource and transport and port development, including Gwadar and KT Bandar. That we besides that, the entire spectrum of maritime Silk Route could not be utilized as much as the other countries are. And I think based on how to leverage maritime Silk Route, all of us need to understand the Chinese model of development, because that is one model that is very close to Asian development style. And I think how China is working on the development and modernization of maritime sector is very, very important. So China is now, as we speak, is pursuing its blue economy goal inside the national development agenda. So I believe, and I've seen in Uran, Pakistan, we have kept discussion or deliverables around the blue economy. But I think we need to have and some of the policies that Chairman Niman Saab highlighted. I think we have to go much beyond that, and I think the approach has to be top down rather than bottom up. And of course, working on green ports and converting our existing port infrastructure into what global sustainability trends, and Ahad, you have been working on them also. I think we need to work on that framework and build a green blue economy rather than just blue economy aspect of where we are. Based on this model, I think we need to also have a centralized coastal development. Just look at how in 30 years, and as I said earlier also, every developing country can turn around in just 3 decades. And the example is right in front of us, China, and I think how they have developed Shenzhen, how they have developed Shanghai in just 30 years is magnificent. And I think we need to learn from that. So with this stage said, I would just briefly talk about, especially in front of the great speakers who've spoken earlier and perhaps speak later, I would just talk about how the blue economy of Pakistan is transformed. We know our geographical location. We know how we are stationed right. God has placed us right in between of energy rich and energy hungry country. We know how the demographics of this region is changing and how the maritime sector is being impacted by these demographics. But I think, as I said, and I keep saying this, that for sustainable development on land, development across the coastline is imperative. And unless we have that mindset, we will not be able to achieve some of the elements that are flash in front of you, from aquaculture production to shipbuilding to coastal tourism to offshore wind. I'm right now working with, as Ahad highlighted, Energy China and some of the energy initiatives around the coastal belt and how that can support lowering of tariff and perhaps greening of the energy sector of Pakistan. And based on that, I think we also need to understand how in 2013 we spoke about our blue economy and CPEC, and it was recommended, ladies and gentlemen, and please remember this, that Pakistan may develop, and you can find documents around monographic study for this, Pakistan may develop petrochemical and iron and steel and maritime industry in the southern coastal area. This was recommended by our friends, and positioning Gwadar as the direct hinterland connectivity. And I think Admiral Ahmed Said spoke about how connectivity to hinterland, the coastal highway, and the security around that needs to be improved. And then, of course, building Gwadar into a base of heavy and chemical industries and host of other things. And most importantly, which is very, very close to my heart, is about the concept of coastline 1+5, with one as corridor and 5 coastal cities which were identified as good tourism site, coastal tourism site for this. But some of the other we could not achieve. And I think for leveraging CPEC phase 2 for blue growth, we need to have a blue, balanced, and beneficial development. This is a slogan, Ahad, I leave to SDPI to take forward as far as blue development is concerned. And we need to work on maritime infrastructure development, fisheries, coastal development, renewable energy, blue technology and research collaboration, maritime digital Silk Route, including submarine cable, which was said earlier, maritime training and skill development. And if you look at the course that is being taught in Gwadar Vocational Center, I think we need to some or the other NEMA or other maritime institutions need to talk to them and perhaps introduce some new syllabi as far as maritime sector development is concerned. And then, of course, innovative financing, including Panda bond for the government is very focused. I was in China. We were discussing Panda bond with some of our counterparts in China for some energy projects. I think we should identify key low-hanging deliverable projects which can be linked with Panda bonds, which government of Pakistan is going to launch today. And I think NEMA can do a great work in this context. Similarly, the entire plan for Gawadar has already been set. It is there. It's quite public from Gawadar to Balochistan to South Asian region. How this will impact and the entire transportation need around that. And I think we need to again identify low-hanging deliverables. China is keen. China is keen on ML1. China is keen on Gawada. Therefore, they're spending their public money on this, and therefore we should not miss this chance. Gawada Airport is a great, great opportunity, and I think the structure around that and the security apparatus around that needs to be enhanced so that our maritime sector could. Then again, of course, the Carrack 5 and Carrack 6, which link Carrack 5 linking Karachi port through Peshawar to Mazar Sharif and Carrack 6 linking Gwadar. I think more discussion, more research has to be done on this and how quickly this can be linked with CPAC and Maritime Silk Road and advantage and what is happening. And I think we must closely review what is happening as far as the Afghan Trans Railway is concerned and how Chinese are closely looking at this as a great opportunity, including the Central Asian countries. So here is my recommendations and strategic roadmap for you. I hope this can be of some advantage from the adaptation point of view to mitigation point of view. Some are based on the right side. Those strategies and timeframes are based on the risk and imminent risk that we have and clear and present danger. And on the left are the ones where we need to invest from policy advocacy to tailor-made cooperation with countries, especially ASEAN, Indonesia, Malaysia, China. If we can work only with these countries on the maritime sector, they're champions of maritime sector. And I think our cooperation, while we have sustainable and forward-looking cooperation with China, I think our cooperation with ASEAN and Malaysia needs to grow for not just this, but also some of the other initiatives that NEMA also showcased, like green shipbreaking and building and public-private partnership. I think our capacity, we keep saying this, we keep drum beating public-private partnership, but as you meet, especially the public sector individuals who are responsible for, I think, including PPPA, our capacity to undertake public-private and the trust deficit between private and public sector, I think showcasing maritime sector will be big ask for them. So based on this, one last recommendation, I think we need to have one maritime special economic zone. I've been saying this to Navy, to Beria Foundation, to everyone, that one maritime sector special economic zone can entirely change the shape of where the blue economy is, and not just an opportunity for employment, economic growth, but an overall masterpiece or a poster boy for how the blue economy of Pakistan can transform from, and instead of giving all land-based special economic zone incentive, I think one maritime sector, coastal-based special economic zone. We've been talking about hub quite recently now, but I think for me, this best site would be somewhere between Gwadar and Karachi, maybe Urmara. And I think Pakistan Navy and the other stakeholders, KPT, must join hand for having this special economic zone. Or if that's a big ask, I think area around Karachi port has to be declared as free zone if you want imperative. So these are my small deliverables, and so I think let's start thinking blue, and let's not repeat in the oceans the mistakes that we have made on land. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. I think your points, especially concerning the digital connectivity, green infrastructure, the global value chain integration, financial cooperation, and of course the Chinese model for development. These are all very pertinent points. I remember Jeffrey Sash was with us in the last annual conference, and he told us that the only way for Pakistan to develop and grow economically is the Chinese way. So I think this is very well taken, sir.
That's why Jeffrey Sash is under a lot of fire from US side.
Sir. Um, Next up, I will be going to Mr. Naeem Ashraf Raja Saab, who is the Director Biodiversity, Ministry of Climate Change. Sir, in addition to your points, I would really like you to focus on the blue economy, as Dr. Saab just mentioned, and also with regards to the carbon credits that Dr. Abid Suleri earlier alluded to. Sir, thank you.
Thank you very much, SDPI, for providing us a chance to discuss this important issue. Thank you, Nadir Mumtaz Saab. Thank you, all the distinguished panelists. While talking of blue economy, I think we should not ignore the most important part of it. That's the environment part of the blue economy. The environmental role being played by our coastlines, our mangroves specifically, and other important areas in our open seas, which are important for the biodiversity, for mammals, for turtles, for sharks and rays. I think these are the things which we also need to consider while talking about blue economy. Definitely, as you know, Pakistan has gone for a small initiative of carbon marketing Indus Delta project of our mangroves being carried out by our Sindh Forest Department. So the ecosystems and the marine ecosystems, they play a very vital role in any development or any economic growth we are foreseeing. Especially if we talk about mangroves, if we talk about corals, I think recently most of us even did not know that we do have good coral resources with a large number of coral species which occur, especially around Cherna, and even people are talking of we might have chance of having some portions of coral reefs as well around Cherna. So we have seagrasses, and then estuaries itself, they play a very important role. Our Indus Delta and Indus estuary is center of very important biodiversity endemism, and also play a very vital role in breeding of most of the marine fishes which come there to breed. And then our fisheries also depend on our healthy coastline. So, and also local livelihoods and the protection of the coast from the disasters is another role which our biodiversity is playing. Pakistan again has identified about 6 ecologically and biologically significant marine areas, which we have identified and reflected in our Convention on Biological Diversity. And we also have international commitments under various conventions which we are a party to. We are a party to CBD, we are a party to Ramsar Convention, and we are also a part of the Sustainable Development Goals. And recently, Pakistan has joined the High Seas Treaty, Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction. So we are thinking of ratifying it. So these are the important international commitments, which are very important because sometimes they are linked with our trade as well. GSP Plus, as you know, is a very important trade with the European Union, which actually is monitoring that how compliant we are to our international commitments. So it's very important that we cater for those commitments as well. And under CBD, we are committed under our Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework to have 30% of our marine area under our protected areas network, because in situ conservation, saving that biodiversity in the places where it occurs is a very important conservation method which most of the countries adopt. And up till now, we have declared about 3 marine protected areas, and they are very small, because if we see, we have about 250,000 square kilometers of marine area for Pakistan, and 30% of that would be a huge area. And up till now, I think we are less than 1%. The 3 protected areas which we have declared, Astola Island, Charna, and recently Mianihor has been declared. And they have been declared under the Provincial Wildlife Act, because these 3 areas has been declared in the waters of Balochistan, and the Balochistan Wildlife Department has done this. We are actually exploring to declare some new protected areas in creek areas. Patiani and Dabo Creek are good for biodiversity, and I think IUCN Pakistan is helping us a lot. WWF Pakistan is helping us a lot in determining the important areas which need to be protected. So it's a huge challenge, and the potential which we see is that besides declaring the protected areas, what we can do is, like, there are huge chunks of areas which are with our naval forces or with our other maritime operations, which actually are protecting huge chunks, not for conservation purpose, but they are serving the conservation purpose. So we call them other effective area-based conservation measures, even though biodiversity is not the main theme of those areas. But naturally, if you are protecting an area for any other purpose, and it's also serving the cause of biodiversity. So OECMs is another area where we think that if we adopt those OECMs and we have some OESM policy in place, and we can declare certain OECMs, so I think we'll be able to achieve the 30 by 30 target, which we are committed to do. So we need to improve the marine protected areas network. We have to integrate blue economy and environmental sustainability, and we have to further explore OECM's other effective area-based conservation measures. Thank you very much. Sorry, I was very quick. I know we have passed the time, so I'll take any questions related to environment and CBD and conservation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naeem Saab. I think this was really helpful, especially because we are not only talking about the biodiversity, but also the sequestration potential. I think the most of the waste and spillages from Pakistan goes into the sea. So it is our biggest sequestration area as well. So moving ahead, and I think taking lead from what Naeem Saab said, I would like to move over to Mahmood Akhtar Cheema Saab from IUCN. Sir, you have been working on projects with the Ministry of Climate Change, and especially if you can also shed some light on the public-private partnership models that can be developed in this regard, because I think overall, as Dr. Hassan also alluded to, that it is very difficult for the government to enforce all of these. So how can public-private partnership be used to get these things in order? Over to you, sir. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you. I will close the camera because I am in a weak signal area. So first of all, let me highly commend SDPI, Chief Executive, and Chief Executive of this blue economy services, Nader Mumtaz Saab, and they were the speakers. Leem Imam Saab, Bhatt Saab, and Ahmed Saeed Saab, President Naeem Ashraf Raja Saab. What a galaxy of distinguished speakers that STPI has got together. And first of all, let me, I think, reflect on very ably contributed by all of you. IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, brings together over 1,400 members, over 18,000 scientists in 7 commissions of IUCN, and we work globally in 160 countries with more than 1,100 staff members. IUCN Pakistan started its operations in Pakistan, putting together national conservation strategy, followed by provincial conservation strategies. We had developed a lot of strategies, but the question came how best that we can translate these strategies into actions. So we started moving on, going on ground and going on sea. And I must say that the way IUCN's overall program, the 2030 agenda, which is set, which focuses on land, climate, oceans, water, but keeping people in the center, that we have overall followed this approach. But must say this coordination mechanism that proved very, very useful. Dr. Naeem Ashraf Raja Sahab said about 2030, this 30 by 30 agenda. I think it's extremely important that we try to see that how can we achieve international obligations with local standards that we are setting and moving on. IUCN Pakistan, with the support of SIDA and NORAD, became part of this Mangroves of Future larger program. And IUCN helped establish, and UNDP helped establish, national coordinating body for Mangroves of Future, which remained operational in over 12 countries. And Pakistan is still continuing with, I think, wonderful coordination body. It's a 25th meeting of this body is being planned. And the Ministry of Climate Change, by the way, is the chair of this national coordinating. All these 3 ports that have been mentioned are members. There are private sector that are members, and there are public sector organizations and even academic institutions. And this marine protected area work, which has been mentioned, was the one that we initiated under this national coordinating body. And also this mangroves assessment. You know, we had gone down only 84,000 hectares of mangroves were left, but this addition now, going back to restoration example, this is one of the example which is established at the global level of nature-based solutions example, which benefits millions of dollars that the government is now benefiting from this overall, this mangroves restoration initiative. It's not only mangroves. I know you can only get blue economy if you have a strong nexus between coast and the marine areas. And these provide ample opportunities. You know, the coastal areas, the tourism opportunity, as was mentioned earlier, जब हम छोटे थे तो हमें कहानियां सुनने को मिलती थी कि समंदर के अंदर जहाज को एक बड़ी मछली टकराने वाली थी. आज कहीं पे वो फेरी सर्विस है नहीं है, हमें उस तरह की सपोर्ट, वो जो नॉलेज है वो नहीं मिल रहा. 64% of our population is under 30, and they are really looking for an opportunity to see the sea. We do not have those facilities, and I would strongly recommend that we focus on nature-based education and integrate this youth in those maritime, this tourism, and also encourage them to learn from these opportunities. Communities are the key. We have done over 32 small grants with under this Mangroves for Future and under this Monaco Foundation, but 2 tourism projects that I would like to mention about this nature tourism, eco-friendly tourism, one in Keti Bandar and the other one in Somyani, with active involvement of those communities, has served very, very useful purpose. Those boats that have been turned into fishing boats, turned into tourist boats, we have established this tourism resource center, and we also facilitated communities to undertake the research and development work and facilitate. There are areas that have been declared as no take zones. As Naeem Ashraf Raja Sahab said, that I think we should focus on involving the local communities and looking at what the benefits that they can get. Another area, I think, which is this seabed authority you have mentioned, area equal to Sindh has been added in our this marine areas, and this is unexplored. Mostly the areas are unexplored. These large mammals, turtles, and the benefits that they can bring. I cite you example, we sent 2 delegations, one in Korea and one last month in Bangkok to study this marine protected areas. One of my colleagues came back and he said that on those 7-Elevens, we saw, most of the 7-Elevens, we saw these seaweeds. Why can't we focus on, because seaweeds are ample in Pakistan that we can work on. Blue economy is unexplored, as Dawood, I think, Batsal mentioned. And also, I'm so pleased that Kaleem Imam Sahab, I think wherever he spent his career, he has left very good the footprint, and glad to see them becoming, this post-harvest losses of fish that we have is a huge. The losses that we have from the local communities that we can involve them. There's these ministries, I think we can encourage them to work together and develop partnerships. The maritime minister, I met Chaudhry Saab, Chaudhry Saab, I think he's quite forthcoming, and he said that these ports are, the initiative that are being taken, and within these ports, this PIBT is a huge resource that we can benefit. Also, I think security agencies are, for that matter, non-traditional approach. Pakistan Navy is a huge resource. They have added 8.6 million mangroves. Nader Gul Sahab, Nader Gul Mumtaz Sahab, you mentioned about this pollution. And I happened to visit Naval Academy, where we facilitated establishment of one small water treatment plant. And you rightly said that tankers ke saath pani wahan pe diya ja raha tha. And these 30,000 gallons per day was being treated. But now Navy has successfully replicated this initiative. And I'm told that over 500,000 gallons is being treated. But this is a much smaller contribution compared to what is a huge. आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा, जब हम छोटे थे तो देखते थे कैसे कॉइन अगर नीचे गिर जाता था तो नजर आता, लेकिन आज वो टोटल सिचुएशन डिफरेंट है, एंड वी नीड टू, आई थिंक, वर्क for such resources, putting together so that we can jointly, make some headways. These protected and conserved areas, I think, is going to be a wonderful approach But going forward, I think we should also see that new opportunities and tools that are the capacity building and these NEMA research work that is being done need to be made, I think, public. I would also like to say 4 points towards the end. One, that IUCN being a membership organization provides opportunity through this national coordinating body that we can work together on this, as we have raised millions of green jobs in the greener sectors on land. We can work together for raising those blue jobs, and through that we can enhance blue economy and achieve those global set standards. Global nature-based solution standard need to be followed, as we have witnessed at the global level the opportunities that are coming up. These national coordinating body, and under this body, the group which has been designated to work on these blue economy, on marine protected areas, on coastal resources, I think we can work that together. I was so honored to have distinguished presence of Major General Jawad Riyaz Saab, and you can see that being DG of Coast Guard, he said that he is interested in raising plantation in coastal areas. He is interested in educating people about environment and sustainable development. This is what brings a change. But going forward, I think I would like to highly commend this approach and the partnership at the policy level. Maritime, forest, water, and the food, there need to be a coordinated unit that works together for, especially for blue economy. And the second point that I would like, I think we need to put together a team, research work. And the third, I think alone institutions, they cannot do much. We need to pool the resources. There are several donors working in isolation in those coastal areas, in those marine areas. Asian Development Bank, World Bank, for example, we are working in at least half a dozen donors that we can, I think, constitute a consortium and try to work together going forward. And these opportunities that have come, we can benefit largely. I once again thank you on behalf of IUCN for inviting us for this wonderful session, and we look forward to build on what has been presented, and we look forward to upscale some of the pilots that we have done. You know, organization like IUCN, SDPI, for that matter, we can only go for modest starters. We can only upscale if we have resources to upscale those. So consortiums are important. And once again, on behalf of IUCN, I am thankful to STPI, and also thankful to Ministry of Climate Change, Maritime Affairs, Pakistan Navy, and the partners who have actually worked with IUCN to take these starts. Thank you so much once again, Abad Qayyum Sulari Saab, Ahad Saab, and the team, and also welcome to see this new organization that has been established, Blue Economy Services Private Limited. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for giving your feedback, And I think your talk about the consortium building is very important. So we have kept Dr. Shahid Mahmood waiting for a very long time. Sir, Dr. Shahid Mahmood is the CEO of Techapolis Limited. Sir, in addition to your comments, I would really like you to talk about the digitalization of ports and the fisheries sector, and especially the investment models that can be used to bring about the blue economy revolution that we have been talking about. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ji. It has indeed been a great honor to be a part of this panel. Thank you, Nadir Mumtaz Saab. I know how persistent and consistent you've been with the blue economy and setting it up. A fortunate man who I think is going to be in history of Pakistan as the father and son both being KPT chairmen. I think this is something I always, whenever I meet him, is unique title that he has, and putting all of us together today on a very, very critical topic. I am grateful to all the panelists. It has been heartwarming to see the different angles. I would like to put the priority in a different perspective so that we all understand, and when we leave today, we understand the significance of not only blue economy, but its importance in the national as well as the global context, which we will see in the next 76 years. I don't think we could have picked up a better day than 13th of August, tomorrow being 14th of August, we celebrating our Independence Day. But I think what we have all learned is how do we look at the future and what do we leave for our children and grandchildren? The world demographics is changing. So I will start with the demographics that will then bring the understanding of why blue economy is important for Pakistan. When we look at the demographics from a global perspective, in the next 76 years, by the 2100, the world's complete population dynamics is going to change. And all the studies in the world tell us what is happening. First, Africa will be 40% of the world's population, and Asia will be 42% of the world's population. That is 82% of the population will be here. Pakistan in itself will be the third largest nation in the world, and we, with our current 260 million people, will be at around 500 million people. The top urban centers in the world, 5 of the top cities in the world will be in Africa. India in itself, which has the largest border with us, will be 1.5 billion people. India's strategic understanding of what is going to happen in the world is something that we should take as a lesson. And what is happening in China is also something we should take as a lesson. And what the Scandinavian countries have been doing vis-a-vis their ports and shipping being the champions is another lesson we can draw from. So when I set the contours, let me put a few things together. I put the population dynamics as first. When you move the populations, the sea freight moves because land transportation cost, air transportation cost has a big difference when it comes to carbon footprints. Air is 30 times higher, whereas the sea, depending on which vehicle you're using or which ship you're using, is 1. So if you take a bulk transporter, the carbon footprint of that, if it is 1, the train has 8. So the world's logistics supply chain movement is going to change. Now, when you look at the demographics and how China is positioned, China in the 70s, when it started its economic gain, was looking towards the east, where east was South Korea, Japan, and the US, and the ASEAN countries. Even today, if you look at their trading through the sea channels, it has all been with these parts of the world. All the ports that China had were facing east. So today, when the world's population dynamics is changing, the ones who are capitalizing on it is India, and it is developing, and there is a report which I would refer to all to read, 2047, on how they are improving their port infrastructure and their transport infrastructure to facilitate what will be the future trade, are all west-facing. When I say west-facing, they are all looking towards Africa, and therefore the transportation of the sea lanes from India to Africa would be the shortest. Pakistan, therefore, becomes a critical element in the future of transport logistics for China, Central Asia, Africa, Iran, and even to some extent India, if it is accessing the route that I'm going to now elaborate on. The future route, if you look at Etihad Rail, is going to be on trains where the link between Gwadar and Oman, which was originally a part of Oman, Gwadar, is the shortest distance. When you take it across, depending on which sea lane you will use and which transport mechanism or vehicle you will use, from there on Etihad Rail, it crosses all across to Saudi Arabia, from where the ports will connect into Africa, and that would be a constant when it comes to balancing between future supply chain and carbon footprint. So this sets the one context. The other context is when we move from 260 million people to 500 plus million people, where is it that we are going to bring food security and also job security to the next generation? We will add 150 million more people. These people need to be fed. These people need to have water. Water constraints are already very, very clear. So in the next 76 years, by 2040 even, not even going to 2100, we will be a very water-deprived country. Currently, with the climate rise, official 1.5 degrees Celsius, which was supposed to be 2030, has already happened. We can see the monsoon change. We can see all the changes that are taking place on an environment. We can see the seabed rising. 9 of the tipping points, 6 have been crossed. So all of that activity, when you look at it, we have to look at our blue economy from another perspective, which is critical. And that critical is that we have 290 square kilometers of what is called our exclusive economic zone that we need to plan. We need to ensure that that supplements the additional population that we will have. Our ports and our coastal area needs to be planned in such a way that the additional supply chain or trade that is going to take place from China, Central Asia, and all the landlocked countries that we can facilitate, including Russia, is going to be efficient enough to be able to not only attract that trade, but to be efficient enough to cross it over so that we remain competitive with the others. These are the critical areas that we as a collective, may it be the government, private sector, international sector, China, the Central Asian states, the OIC states, 27 of the OIC states are in the north of Africa, all of them looking at sea routes. Learning from Indonesia and Malaysia, from the ASEAN countries, we need a clear-cut strategy, which I'm glad to say that the various government departments are putting together, but the importance of it could not be highlighted more. So while we set the contours, this is where I would leave the discussion, and I'll be happy to add if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think your points regarding the overall integration and especially regarding how we can develop this in the strategic location that we have into an advantage. I think these are all very well taken. I think this is a topic where we can go on for many more hours. But I think we have to stop now, and maybe we can also hold a follow-up of this at a later stage. We are joined here by Deputy Executive Director of Sustainable Development Policy Institute, who also heads the Environmental Resilience Program. Sir, I'll just give you a rundown. We have had very good speakers, and if I gave a thematic overview of what the overarching discussion was. The overarching areas that we discussed were regional connectivity and collaboration, especially in the blue economy sector, public-private partnerships, ease of doing business, and technology and digital integration, and the global value chain integration that is required for development of the sector. specifically, while talking about the economy, where of course the $100 billion potential is stated, but of course I personally believe it is much more higher than that. We have an advantage of the strategic location that Pakistan has, and I think all of the worthy speakers talked about it. But we need to focus on the logistic performance, especially at the ports, then the regional connectivity again, connecting the port to the land through rail, and also the inland waterways were discussed. And secondly, I think a very important point that was very interesting and I think innovative for me was how we can tackle the balance of payment crisis through the port, which was through tariff and remittances. So if we talk about then another major area that was discussed was the security. I think the first aspect was that we have to strengthen the law, especially in these areas, because most of the trafficking, both drug and human, is taking place through the sea. Then regional collaboration in this regard is very important. Because it is an international phenomena rather than a national one. And then the coastal community development, which is of course your area of expertise as well. So I think these sort of bridge in together. The third aspect, sir, was the environment side, where several nature-based solutions were discussed. The carbon credits project, mangroves project was discussed. The maritime protected areas, and the sequestration potential of the sea and biodiversity, how it is getting affected. And of course, we also linked it to the food security aspect as well. The major sectors that were discussed were shipbuilding and maintenance, which I think has huge potential. And what I have heard is that Ministry of Defense is working on development of a shipyard, but I think the phase 2 of their PC1, I'm not sure whether the PC1 was approved or not. And then tourism, fisheries, and energy are the other few sectors that came out. So with this, sir, I will request you for concluding remarks and the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ahad Saab. On very outset of my concluding remarks, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to my friend and colleague Nader Mumtaz Saab, who is CEO of Blue Economy Services, for co-hosting this important event with SDPI. And we welcome you not only for this one event. SDPI is your known friend organization, so we'll be extending our collaboration together. Then, of course, I express my thanks to other speakers. Kaleem Imam Sahab, our known friend, colleague in this sector, former secretary in narcotics. He has been IGP Islamabad. Then Dr. Hassan Daud Bhatt, our senior advisor also. He's PD CPAC. Vice Admiral Ahmed Said Saab, President NEMA. Naeem Ashraf Rajat Saab, Director, Biodiversity Program, Ministry of Climate Change and Coordination. Dr. Shahid Mahmood Saab was the last speaker here. And before that, Mahmood Saab from IUCN. Thank you very much, all of you. Some of you I have heard directly. I have heard only two speakers at the last, but thank you, Ahad, for giving me the gist of what we have discussed. I think the blue economy is a central part of economy now. We cannot take it as a sideline business. It is part of the even local economy or national economy, global economy, all mainstream economy. It's part of the mainstream economy. When we have been having talks on just green economy because of the environmental factor, but this is bigger than that area where we have to discuss. And all the associated areas which Ahad has just narrated, be it, the business related development, ports development, use of port, and population was an indicator located here. The carbon issue was also discussed, and carbon emissions comparison was given. All these things are here, just not with the angle of economy, with culture. And Pakistan is now set to become the first to sign in South Asia the UNESCO's agreement on culture, because blue economy or the sea has its culture also. So these cultural heritage we have to develop for tourism, for development of this the life underwater. That's also commitment under SDGs. So this is a collective commitment, and this start should go ahead. And that's why I requested Mumtaz Sahab to you that I think we should continue it more. There are many studies here, but until these studies are not becoming popular, and people do not know the real benefit, and if they are not thinking that they are part of this benefit, so benefit sharing concept that will go to the wider people, and then this will become a publicly popular economy, which is it has a potential, but it should go into the public debate and discourse. And that is the way you have taken your charge on that. We are thankful to you. I would conclude here because it's not time to make another speech, but I will once again thank you, Nazir Saab, all the participants online and here, and all the speakers. Thank you, Ahad.
Thank SDPI.
SDPI,
I want to thank SDPI.
yeah, you please.
Again, at the end, I'll thank SDPI for taking up the cudgels and launching of the blue economy. And tomorrow is Independence Day, and we are celebrating it. We won the war, and our defense has become invincible, and we have to convert that military victory into economic dividends should pay off now. And what better way that the celebrations the incoming year should be the realization of the potential of blue economy. Once again, thanks to STPI.
Thank you very much. And with this, we will close the session. Thank you, all the panelists and the audience that joined us today. And we will be continuing this dialogue series on blue economy. And hopefully, this can translate into a implementable framework and roadmap going forward. Thank you very much.